My first day being locked up, I was placed in solitary confinement. I was placed in the type of solitary confinement that already had a nickname. As a matter of fact, it was nicknamed the Yellow Brick Road. The walls, the floors, the ceiling were all painted yellow. And as soon as you were led into the hallway where all the cells for solitary confinement were situated, well, you knew exactly why it was called a Yellow Brick Road. It was almost as if that color of paint was chosen along with the lighting and everything else in that environment to drive a man crazy. Can't prove it though. Nonetheless, I was placed in solitary confinement, and the initial shock was one thing, learning that I would not be able to walk out of this cell anytime soon, and that my food would be put through a slot. I had never been experiencing that before. And the guards were extremely hostile and mean because my case was listed as something that was high priority where I was at. I remember the sounds and the echoes and all that. I remember people screaming in the hole, some people rapping, hitting on the walls, etc. But there was one thing that stuck out above all else, and it was a man that was screaming over and over again. And he was saying that he was hallucinating. And when you're in solitary confinement, it's one thing to be locked into a place you can't get out of, but then it's another thing to know that there are people suffering around you in the same situation. And you do not know if you may end up in that same situation yourself. I looked underneath the crack of the cell in my door in solitary confinement to try to get some sort of vantage point to see what was going on in the cell across from me where the screams were coming from. And I seen guards, at least their boots, walk to the cell. I heard the conversation, and I also heard them laugh when the individual that was in the cell, that man, said that he was seeing certain things, rats and other things that were crawling on him. And no, they weren't. But what he was going through was a medical crisis. He was hallucinating. He was actually going through withdrawals from alcohol, and he was slowly but surely losing his life because of the shock of not being able to have a drink. His body was shutting down on him, and the guards thought it was funny, and they laughed, and they did nothing about it. And then as each count time came, they counted them until 5:45 count time came, that was the one where you had to stand up, and he was unable to. As a matter of fact, he did not respond. When they opened up the cell, the guards began to scream because they immediately identified that he had lost his life. This was the first day of mine in lockup. My first 24 hours, 36 hours of incarceration. Ask me, you think I've been changed forever? Stay free.